Imagine a vast open field under a quiet sky. The air is still. There are no machines. There is no noise. A single person walks to the center of the field and places a small seed into the earth. They cover it with soil. Then they walk away. Days pass. Weeks pass. The field looks exactly the same as it did on the first day. To the casual observer, nothing is happening. The person who planted the seed watches from a distance. They do not dig. They do not move the soil. They simply wait. This is the beginning of a long journey in understanding resources. Most people have a simple desire for clarity. They want to understand how a small amount of value becomes a larger amount over time. They want to see the path toward a stable future. In our daily lives, we are taught that hard work requires constant movement. We are taught that to get a result, we must be busy, we must act, we must change things. In the world of investing, an intellectual conflict often arises. When we look at our accounts, we see numbers that move up and down. Sometimes the numbers stay flat for a long time. This creates a sense of confusion. A person might think that if the numbers are not moving, the system is not working. They might think they need to do something to fix the silence. They might feel that moving their resources from one place to another is a sign of progress. However, the main idea of this process is quite different. Investing is often most effective when it is left alone. It is the observation of a mathematical system that functions through stillness. When we intervene, we often interrupt the very thing we want to happen. Consider the forest. A forest does not grow because someone is constantly moving the trees. It grows because the trees are allowed to stay in one place for 50 years. If a gardener becomes impatient after 1 year and moves a sapling, the roots are broken. The sapling must spend all its energy growing new roots instead of growing tall. If the gardener moves it again the next year, the tree may never grow at all. In an everyday life analogy, we can see this with a simple seed. The seed has everything it needs to become a tree. It needs soil, it needs water. Most importantly, it needs to be left in the dark. If you dig it up every morning to see if it has started to grow, you destroy the process. Your activity is the enemy of the growth. The power is not in the digging. The power is in the waiting. Let us look at the scale of this using simple math. Imagine you have 100 units of value. In this system, the units are left in a quiet place. They are not touched. They are not moved. Every 10 years, the number of units doubles. After 10 years of doing nothing, you have 200 units. You have not added any new units. You have not worked. The system simply functioned because it was not interrupted. Now, the next 10 years begin. Because you did not touch the first 200 units, the doubling happens to a larger number. After another 10 years, you have 400 units. The change from 200 to 400 happened because of the stillness of the first 10 years. If you had moved to 100 units after 5 years because you were bored, you would have missed the turn. You would have had to start the clock at 0 again. The math shows us that the largest changes happen at the very end of the timeline, but you can only reach the end if you survive the beginning without acting. Many people quit the process because the beginning is so quiet. They see the 100 units stay at 100 for a long time. They think nothing is happening. But the roots are growing underground. The mathematical foundation is being built. Every time an account is changed or moved, the person often pays a small cost. These costs are like tiny leaks in a bucket. Over many years, these leaks can take away a large portion of the final total. By doing nothing, you keep the bucket sealed. The educational takeaway is a sense of calm acceptance. Growth is a slow, natural process. It is not a race. It is not an emergency. To understand investing is to understand that time is the most important factor. Time is a silent worker that does not need your help. When you choose to do nothing, you are giving the system permission to work. You can look at your resources with a quiet mind. You can see the flat lines on a graph as a time of preparation. You can realize that the urge to act is often just a misunderstanding of how scale works. Clarity comes from knowing that the seed is in the ground. Clarity comes from knowing that the sun will rise and the rain will fall. The rest is simply waiting. In the end, the person who sits still often sees more growth than the person who runs in circles. The math remains steady. The system remains neutral. It does not care if you are busy. It only cares if you are present and patient. This is the reality of long-term accumulation. It is a study of silence and time. It is the understanding that the most powerful thing you can do is often nothing at all. Disclaimer: this content is for educational purposes only, not financial advice.